Everybody, welcome to another episode of Between Sermons, where we get to continue the conversation from Sunday. And right now we are in our At the Movies series, which means we're taking some of Hollywood's stories and seeing some biblical truths within them. And so this week I get as a guest my good friend, Kevin Posey. How you doing, man?
What's up, PB?
Kevin, it's good to hang out with you. You always bring joy to the room, and so I'm excited for this conversation.
Dad jokes and joy are not the same thing.
I mean, so they can be. So no, I think that a good dad joke is just as good as a bad dad joke, because if it's a good dad joke, it makes everybody laugh. If it's a bad dad joke, it makes everybody laugh at you. So like people are laughing either way. I think it's appropriate either way.
Love a good dad joke.
Yeah, so we're in At the Movies, and so I would be remiss if I didn't drag you through the mud on this one, because one of our first real interactions is when I discovered that you had never watched the movie Elf, and there was just something so just. I mean, of all the sins that a man can commit.
You know what? So at that, so when you guys found out, not only did you, not only was I vilified by you, but the entirety of the grouping in the church.
No. It goes beyond that. It all of human society will look at you differently. You have since rectified the issue, correct?
I have PTSD. Yes, I have seen it. But I definitely have PTSD because every year I have to watch that dun 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 dun, and I'm like, okay, all right. So I have to watch this so my family will still let me in church.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I just need to hear you say Elf is a great movie.
Elf is a movie.
I hate you. The podcast over. This is done.
You know what? That's fine. That's fine. Thank you for subscribing, like, and subscribe. Have a nice day.
Okay, but Willy Wonka. So actually, no, it was just Wonka is what we did on Sunday. Are you a fan of the? I was gonna call it a remake. It's not really a remake. It's an origin story.
It's a very, very cool retelling. I like the the world that they built around it. And so I really, because when I watched Willy Wonka as a kid, I always wondered, okay, so everybody in the city is poor, except for this guy who has a huge factory that makes chocolate. So I've always wanted to know the backstory behind it. So I've actually really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah. What would you prefer though? Do you like Charlie and Chocolate Factory? That was the whatchamacallit, Pirates of the Caribbean guy. Why am I blanking on his name?
Johnny Depp?
Johnny Depp, yeah. Johnny Depp did Charlie and Chocolate Factory?
Yes, he did.
Which I hear is supposed to be as if Charlie grows up and becomes the new Wonka.
Okay.
I was very confused by that one.
See, I didn't see that one, and mainly because, one, I'm not a movie person. So anytime someone comes to me, have you seen this movie? Have you seen this movie or that movie? I've never, ever been a movie person. Okay. But I kind of did not, I went out of my way not to see it because Johnny Depp has kind of like a creepy quality to him.
He does. And it was a weird creepy in this one, though.
And I didn't think the two really meshed.
Yeah, no, because I think, Gene Wilder has this, I don't know, this quirkiness, this weirdness, but it's not like a creepy weird. It's eccentric. That's the word, right? And Johnny Depp doesn't have that quality.
No,
he doesn't when he goes weird. It's just weird.
It's just weird,
and it's great for what it is. But no, so I wasn't on board with that one. So yeah, we can throw that one aside.
Yeah, you can tell he wasn't the friend that was invited to potlucks. Like you can tell that no one's eating Johnny Depp's food or anything like that. That was not.
But he's definitely the guy that if he brought food to the potluck, there'd be like raisins in it or something. Like it would just be like
no. So those are cuttings.
No. You're not getting invited back to the cookout. Okay, so between Willy Wonka, Gene Wilder, and Timothy Chalamet, Wonka, what's your preference?
Oh, always. I mean, I have a deep love for Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder is just
in anything.
Just in anything. Young Frankenstein, amazing.
My favorite. That's one of my favorites.
One of the best examples of comedy parody cinema.
My wife doesn't get it, but I love all of that stuff.
Oh man, it was so much fun. So yeah, the original Wonka I liked a lot more, even though it was as a kid it was a little bit scary. It was like why are children floating? And is there no OSHA certifications or is there no protections there? But other than that, don't get me wrong. This movie really enjoyed, but just for the nostalgia and where it all started, basic Wonka with Gene Wilder.
Yeah, I'm with you. See, we're finally on the same page.
See, we agree.
You know, I can. You brought up Young Frankenstein, so I can absolve you.
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. Walk this way. Oh, I love that movie. I love that people listening to this podcast are either loving this part of the conversation because they love those movies, the Mel Brooks just series of work, or they have no idea what we're talking about.
Haven't a clue.
And
it's like, what are dads talking about?
Yeah,
what are they talking about?
Sorry, God bless you. But yeah, so let's get into the conversation though. We're talking about dreams because really that's what we see in the movie Wonka. Is we see a guy that's got a hat full of dreams. He's pursuing his dream, and there really is a lot of biblical depth to that concept, right? That God has created all of us with this capacity to dream and to imagine and to go after things. That we've all been created with purpose, and really, when you live a life that you're not pursuing your purpose in, it's like you're missing so much of what God has for you. And so I'd love to just kind of get a little bit of your story, your perspective. We've talked a lot over the last few years of your story, your journey. It's been kind of a wild one.
That's an understatement. That's definitely an understatement.
But when we were talking about like people to have on the episode, you know, somebody that's out there pursuing their dream, honestly, you're that. You are a guy who is like, no, I've got a dream. I believe this is from God. This is what I'm supposed to be doing in my life, and I'm going after it. And you've seen some incredible things happen in a process.
Yeah.
But it wasn't always so easy.
No, it wasn't. Listen, I'm the eldest of 7 kids, a child of abuse. Was homeless. My brother took took his life. I've been a part of mergers. I've been a part of there's so many different things that have happened in my life. I'm sure that my story isn't unlike anybody else's, but I'm a testament to God's grace, and the only thing I do is bring my 2% to his 98.
Yeah.
Like I try my best, my absolute best to bring my 100%, which is only 2, to God's 98%. Yeah. So yeah, God has done a lot in my life. There's
a beautiful trust in God and trust in the process when you're able to say that.
Yeah.
To say, you know, I've been through all this stuff, but I'm still seeing, you know, it's scripture says, you know, God works all things together for our good. Like I feel like you've gone through some things that really would test a lot of people's faith and trust in God.
Yeah.
And yet in those moments, and I always tell people, you know, when they're going through the worst moment, you've got 2 options. It either drives you away from God or drives you to God. And one's going to have good results and one's going to have pretty bad results. And, just watching you go through some of these things over the last couple of years, just knowing that it's driven you to God, just fills me with just pride and joy, and excited for you. But you kind of glossed over something that I think a lot of people don't necessarily have as part of their story. But you were homeless.
Yeah.
And we're not talking like a long time ago, like in the last decade.
Yeah.
You were homeless for a season. What led to that moment, and what was that experience like, and what happens to dreams in those moments?
Oh man, that's a great question. Good job, PB. So I was living with my parents at the time. I'm going on 7 years of marriage. I've been engaged for 2 years. So about 9 years ago, I was homeless. I was living with the parents. They got evicted. I'm the eldest of 7 kids. So what ended up happening was they so when the sheriff came to kick us all out, and I was at work doing something for sales, and they kicked everyone out. They found a motel in Chicago Heights that did not have enough room for all of us. So I decided to allow them to have that, and I stayed with my employer in her house, because she just took in a bunch of people that were like homeless. I stayed there for a few months. That was a traumatic experience. And then moving from there, I went back to live with my mother, but then moved out because of a difference in opinion, not to go too far into that, but then stayed in the basement of my church, my former church, for a good amount of time. And then between being in the street, and what happened to dreams is, it feels like everything that you hope for is impossible. It felt like, for the homeless part of because I just got engaged at that point. I just asked Kisa to marry me, and she said yes. and like literally.
Was she having second thoughts as you were couch surfing?
Crazy? No, not once. She was like the funny, corny dude.
She's snatching him up. She's like, I see the potential.
She sees the potential. Sees the potential. No, at no point. I don't remember ever. I even broke up with her at that. I even broke up with her, which was one of the greatest, if not not the greatest thing I regret. But like I broke up with her at that point when I got homeless because I got engaged 2 months later. We got evicted, and then I broke up with her. So I say, you deserve more. And like maybe 4 or 5 days later, we got back together. And she was like, "You don't pull this mess no more." And I'm like, "Yes, ma'am." And
she set you straight.
Oh yeah, she did. But then she always supported me. And one thing I've learned in life is that value isn't measured in assets or in bank accounts. It's in the people of value that you have around you. Yeah. And that's something that I've always like. I make sure that I surround myself with people of value. Yeah. So getting back to what you're asking with the dreams, I wanted to marry Kisa, and I was on track. I'm a planner, so I was like, okay, I'll make this, and I have this contract, I have this, I have that. This is how this is going to work. And then all of that went to dust, and I was like, wow. I started questioning everything I prayed about. I started questioning, like, is this real? Am I really meant to marry Kisa? Was this retribution? Is this revenge? Is this, and instead of realizing that, no, this is God putting you through or allowing you to go, not putting you through because he doesn't put you through bad things, but he allows you to go through, that he may bring you out on the other side so you can encourage someone else. Yeah.
It's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
So you're on this you're on this journey now. I guess, creating your own business.
Yeah.
And where did that dream start for you?
I think I was like, how old was I? 12? I think I was like 12, 13 years old. Being the eldest of 7 kids, and like there was like we didn't have a lot of money growing up. And so one thing I always knew that I always knew I wanted to have some amount of money so that I can get. My mom always told me, is like, if you want McDonald's, you have to have McDonald's money. So I always wanted McDonald's money. That was the goal, McDonald's money. So
that's actually coming back around now because McDonald's keeps raising their prices. So like, if you've got McDonald's money in 2024, you're doing pretty good, man.
Yeah. No, you have to be able to afford Chick-fil-A money. Chick-fil-A money is where the affluent lay. But so I wanted. So I thought about. So I went around knocking doors to mow lawns, shovel snow, but I'm the eldest of 7 kids. Something instinctively inside of me activated to where I no longer mowed the lawns or shoveled the snow. I would knock the door and talk to the neighbor and then employ my brothers and sisters. And then I would, brokering fee, and then I would
you get a cut. You get a percentage.
I'll get a percentage, and then I would mow like the very small part of the lawn. So then I would be a part of the deliverables as well. So yeah, I've been looking to own business or start businesses ever since I was like 10, 12 years old, something like that.
You just got that entrepreneur drive.
Yeah, or I just like telling people what to do, I guess, or leading people, or just teaching people. Teaching, I love teaching. So yeah, that sort of thing. It was just a lot of fun.
Okay. And that dream, so that dream gets birthed. You're a teenager, barely. You're pursuing that dream in your way. You end up homeless. Does the dream die in that moment? Does the dream, is it still like, okay, I'm gonna get back on my feet? I'm still, are you still writing out plans in your notebook? Are you still dreaming in that moment?
So one thing I've definitely learned is that over life, dreams change.
Okay.
And they adjust. Not that you've let go of what the dream was supposed to be. Okay. It's just about when is it supposed to be, or what's important now versus what's important in 5 to 10 years. Yeah. So, and when I got homeless, all I have to think about was, just get a place for me to live. Yeah. Then
just get through this.
Just get through this.
Yeah.
Then it was once I got a place, I was in a room for rent, and I lived in God is so good. So I was in a room for rent. I was living in Inglewood, on 69th and Morgan. I was like, okay, I now have a place. This is not a place Keisha can live, or this is not a place she can live.
Yeah, I was going to say, most people living in Inglewood are not going, wow, God.
No.
Thank you for bringing me to Inglewood.
No. She can live there. One thing about Kisa, she is the nicest person that you'll ever meet, but she's a fighter. Like, she is strong, and I've never understand how strong she is, but she is strong. But living there, I was like, okay, I don't want me and my wife to live here and to raise children here. There's nothing wrong with this area, but it was unsafe for me and my vision for our family. So then, long story short, I was blessed into my first place. It was a small studio apartment downtown Chicago. Okay. And then ever since then, God has been blessing us with home after home there. And so with being in business, I never let go of wanting to be a business owner. It was just about handling the immediate while having faith for the future. Yeah. So
yeah. I think that's a great lesson for a lot of people is, you've got to deal with the immediate problem. I think some people get in trouble where they just ignore the problem and just dream for the future. And it's like, oh, this will work itself out. Things you rarely, in my experience, rarely work themselves out. Like you have to put some effort behind it. You have to put some plans together. Yeah. Right.
And one thing I definitely learned in that process, because once I get settled, I want to, let's start the business. It went through a couple different names. Don't even ask me what they are. But once I get settled, start. But then realize that, Kevin, you're too impatient. Okay, let's wait a little bit. You're going to have to deal with people. You've been in sales for, at this point, 16, 15 years, but can you run or teach people? What is it that can you do? How much can you save? Like at that moment in time, it's not that I wasn't focused on my future goal in the immediate, not that I forgot. It's just that skills weren't developed and sharpened enough in order for it to be started. Yeah. Even when I started my business, God had to say for me to start my business when I started my business, because before then I was like, okay, when is the time? When is the time? And I just, and starting Consult 92 was a product of me just wanting to serve a brother, and then God led it to me starting the business. Nice. Yeah. Rodney, he plays keys here. Yep. So I was coming to rehearsal. For the praise team, and I was just getting off of work, and Rodney was like, yeah, you do sales. I'm like, yeah, well, I have a business. Would you mind helping with that? I'm like, sure, why not? I wasn't even thinking to charge him anything. My mind wasn't even there. Yeah. So I started doing sales for him, and then that, like, God's favor exploded from there. Not in my work life, but in the business. Yeah. Then my former manager, the one who threatened to sue me if I left the company.
And, we'll come back to that in a moment.
Okay. So then he became my second client, and then Jason Parks advised me to start get an LLC, and then it just grew from there.
Yeah. I love that your journey includes so many other people.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because I think that's the element that some people are missing, is that they're trying to do it on their own. Yeah. But really, you need to be around people that are encouraging, that are challenging you. They can even see, like, okay, this is what you need to do, and you're like, well, I don't know how to do that. And they're like, here, let me walk you through this, right? And so, like, having those people in your life, I think is fantastic.
One thing I've learned, and especially at 38 years old, the people. I'm a salesman, so I would negotiate or lobby contracts for different clients or even for myself. They don't care what the price is; they only care what the value that you bring. Yeah. And one thing I've definitely known in my life is that the value that I bring is. It was never money. It was my experience, and et cetera, and et cetera. Yeah. So surrounding myself with men of value, real brothers and sisters of value, David Beasley, Justin Knox, Rodney, Jason, just everybody. Like, they pour into me, they pray for me, and there's no competition. They're not jealous of me. Like, having people that support your vision, even though if they don't understand the fullness of it, but they pray and they love you through it.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me of a conversation we had on the phone one time. You called me because you had a huge business opportunity. Yeah. So you called me for some advice, and I had to be like, "Look, bro, you're in a realm that, like, I don't know anything about sales. I don't know anything about contract negotiations. Like, I can't advise you on the intricacies of this deal. But let me talk to you as a pastor, and let me pray for you."
I can't tell you how much that helped. Like, even in that not even that emboldened me and that gave me confidence, but then also it allowed me to, like, certain things that you said in that conversation helped.
Cool.
So it definitely helped, and I appreciate it.
Cool. So when it comes to pursuing your dream, there's going to be roadblocks. There's going to be opposition. There's going to be challenges to overcome. You've already kind of talked through a few of those challenges. You're homeless for a bit. That's a challenge. You're having some family dynamic stuff. That's a challenge. You're getting sued or about to be sued by an employer. So what things have? So I guess we haven't really even defined your dream. So maybe let's start there. Maybe we missed that opportunity.
I guess.
So Kevin, what's your dream?
My end game long-term dream is to heal and repair food and banking deserts.
Okay.
So I grew up in Sauk Village, Illinois, and it defined a food and banking desert. What a food desert is it's a town or community that does not have adequate or up to par food, grocery stores, things like that.
Yeah, we call it food insecurities or food desert.
Yeah, so within a 3 to 5 mile radius. Yeah. And the same thing for banking. When people leave their community to go spend their dollars in another community, what they're doing is robbing their community of those resources, those dollars to put it in. And that's that's actually me and Keith's long-term goal, is to be able to heal a lot of food and banking deserts.
Do you have a specific location in mind, like for this dream? When it's a little bit broad in saying, hey, we want to eliminate these deserts. Is there a specific desert that you're like, this is the city?
Yeah, Sauk Village. I wanted to start with Sauk Village, Chicago Heights, only because I grew up there. Yeah. I grew up and I went to high school in Chicago Heights. Grew up in Sauk Village. Me and Kisa fell in Ford Heights, and not that there's nothing wrong with these places. That's my main driver. The reason behind the dream is that there are so many people of value. There's so many people that deserve or should get more, but because of how much money they make, because of their demographic, because of wherever they may vote or redlining or whatever it is, their community doesn't quote unquote deserve proper banking and proper food options. Yeah. So what ends up happening, and just a small tidbit because I don't want to take away from it.
That's good.
For every dollar that is spent, I want to get the right metric because I had it. So for every dollar that I spend, and please forgive me if I get this wrong because I'm trying to remember it because I did not prep for this. For every dollar that's spent in a community, 30 cents of it goes back to the municipality. Okay. Which is there's 2 from tax and then 1 from being in the city. Now, what ends up happening is if you I lived in Sauk Village. My mom and dad always loved to shop at Strack and Ventil in Indiana, Munster, Indiana, because that had the good salsas, they had the meats, the good, and then they took our link. So, our grocery store that was in our community was not up to par because fruits and vegetables would be spoiled almost immediately. Mom and dad wanted to possibly buy a house, so they went to banks downtown Chicago. They went to banks near where they worked. Yeah. And what that was doing is for 30 cents for every dollar was being spent elsewhere. Yeah. And if you scale that up into the millions, a little bit down, that's a lot of money that's being robbed from the community. Yeah. And that's something that's a dream that I have, to be able to try and heal and fix that.
Yeah. How do you even go about fixing something like that, though?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and be a subject matter expert or anything. Kevin is good at 3 things: sales, cooking, and dance, in that order. That is the very direct order. That is it. So I'm not going to sit here and be like the genius or the guru behind it, right? But from my opinion, if you can be able to, because there's a lot of money in these areas, it's just about finding ways to capitalize on it. Mm-hmm. So there's something called land banking, where people will hold on to properties for a long amount of time. There will be a bank, instead of having to pay taxes on it because they're justifying the loss, because you can justify the loss, et cetera, they hold on to it and do nothing with it. Mm-hmm. So instead of having them doing that, incentivizing businesses to come into an area where there are TIF zones or where there are different tax incentives for be able to open up a business, you start to build a downtown around it, bring apt grocery store, and good banking, not just a credit union, even though there's nothing wrong with it, but in a real bank with real resources to be able to bring real incentives for business to come and do business in those areas. South Village is a border town, so then you know, bring a lot of people from Indiana and a lot of people from the surrounding areas and industrial parks to be able to build into that town. You'll end up investing into the community and making 2 to 5x on your investment based off of what you want to do for the community now.
Yeah. So right now, your process for getting there, though, is you've got a network.
Yeah.
You've got to connect with people, and you've got to make some money.
Yeah.
Right. Because like if you don't have the money to do this, and if you don't have the network, the connections, the people, then you know this is a great dream. But if today you walk into Chase Bank and you're like, hey, you should really open up a location, and they're gonna be like, get out of here, whoever you are.
Yeah.
And so right now you've got you've started your own kind of consulting business.
Yes.
You're teaching people how to sell.
Yes. Yeah. I teach people how to, I coach, I do sales coaching, and then I also go out and advocate for businesses that are not making as much money. So I make those connections or make sales for them. Yeah.
So you're already starting to work towards this ultimate goal. Yeah. And you know, it may look small right now, but there's purpose behind it. There's vision behind it. And my guess is there's been a lot of planning that you've had to do within all this. And I think that may be the element that some people are missing with their dreams is how do I sit down and actually start to plan this thing out?
I believe, so that's a big part of it, but I also believe that planning phase stops people.
Okay.
So, and there's nothing wrong with planning. I'm a planner. Right. But sometimes, okay, when I get this and want to make this much money and when I do that and when I do that much, this is when I can be able to go for it. No, go for it now. Yeah. As someone, Keisa and I were engaged for 2 years. The intent was for only to be engaged for 7 months, and then a year, and then 3 months, and if I waited. I thank God that I married her when I did. Man, dude. But if I waited to be perfectly ready to do that, and men waiting till everything's perfect to propose to the women that you've been with for 4 and 5 years, stop it. Be led of the Spirit, but stop it, because you don't know where God is actually trying to lead you and guide you and bless you in it. Yeah. We get so hung up on the still small voice of God, and we hyper focus on the still small voice and completely forget that God is so big and he loves us so much that if he only had one way to talk to us, then that's not proof of his love. He speaks to us through his word. He speaks to us through just being silent sometimes. He speaks to us through making literal ways out of no ways. When I was living in Inglewood, I didn't know how I was going to make my rent one month. My rent was $300. It was $450. It was $450, and I couldn't make it to work one day. I did not have any money to make it to work one day. And walking through Inglewood, I found $100 in 20s on the ground. So on the ground, I was praying and crying, and I thought I was going to be evicted, and I thought it was going to be a step backward. And then I was like, oh, this isn't mine. I even walked around in Inglewood with cash. Hey, did you lose something? I was trying not to get shot. Thank God I didn't get shot, or I didn't get robbed or anything like that. And once again, nothing against Inglewood, just like that's not always the safest place.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be walking around with $100 cash.
$100
out in Inglewood. Like, anybody lose this?
There was 3 people around, and I was like, "Hey, did you drop something? And did you guys drop anything?" It's like, "No," or they completely ignore me. I took that $20 to my bank and bought a Ventra, and it got me to be able to go to work, and then never had that incident again. Yeah, like sometimes just starting. Yeah, like yes, plan. Yes, be wise. Yeah. But do you believe God? Yeah. Do you believe that he is with you through and in it all? Do you believe that every good gift and every perfect gift comes down from him first? Yeah. So just go for it.
Yeah, I think there's this healthy balance that you try and find within this, because we can't downplay the importance of planning.
Yeah,
like there's too many people that don't have a plan, and it's been 10
gosh,
years
yes.
and they're still not doing nothing because they never came up with a plan.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're waiting for perfection, it's never happening. Like if you're waiting for the perfect moment to have kids, or the perfect moment to get married, or the perfect moment to start this business, that's probably not going to happen.
No.
But come up with your plan of, okay, here's step 1, here's what I'm going to do, here's step 2, that's what we're going to do next, here's step 3.
Yeah.
And then your plan is always morphing, it's always evolving. You're like, okay, so my plan originally had 3 steps. Well, now I'm on step 2, addendum Z. You know, it's like I've added some things to this process, and I think there's wisdom within that. But you got to get that plan out on paper, I think.
So can I speak to how I got my biggest client?
Go for it.
So my biggest client, Green Tech Renewables. I was still working at my former job, but I still had Consult 92. It was already started, and but one thing I definitely do in planning out for Consult 92 is what is this going to look like? What kind of sales am I going to do? And then getting a deck, getting a business deck. If you don't have a website, get a business deck. Like making all those plans. God just delivered this person into my lap, this business into my lap, and they grew up to be my biggest client. And all the favor, the biggest contracts that I've ever gotten through there were all through God guiding. I don't take responsibility for any of it. Literally, the right person would walk into the office while I'm doing a training to be able to, you're doing this for this piece, for this profit center. Why don't you do it for this profit center? Why don't you do it for this one? Yeah. And then it would expand and grow. So yes, plan and be ready. Your 2% is super crucial because you have faith that God will take you from that 2 to your 100%.
Yeah.
So be prepared, plan, but just go, start.
Yeah. No, I love it, and I think that is the tension that we're trying to balance out, right? It's like how much plan do I need to get started, and I think the reality is it's going to be different for everybody, and it's going to be different because of what the dream is. I think some dreams it's like, okay, just go out there and start. I think there's some dreams that you need to have some planning in place. I remember I was coaching somebody that they wanted to start basically kind of a food pantry of sorts. They were trying to start a not-for-profit where they were just helping out community people, a lot of homeless and different things, but they're trying to set it up in a way that they could receive donations in order to do all this. And I was like, okay, so what does your 501c3 look like? And they're like, my what now? It's like, okay, before you can get people to be able to donate, like you've got to do some paperwork first. Like there's a process to this. And so it was great to be able to sit down with this person and be like, okay, I love your heart. I love your dream. You've got big heart. You've got a big dream. There's some practical steps that you're going to have to take in order to get all the way where you're trying to get to. Yeah. And so I think that's where the good planning comes in, right? It's, you count the cost before you start building the building. Yeah. Right. And we've seen a lot of damage in the world when somebody starts something that they can't finish. Yeah. I want to make sure that we've got that healthy balance, I guess. Like, if I wait, actually it's kind of funny. So like Sol and I, we thought we had like the perfect plan for when to have kids. So our plan was we wanted to be married for 2 years. And we wanted to be living in our own home. Cause when we got married, we were living in my parents' basement. Because that's what you do when you're in ministry. You get married early and then you live with your parents. Okay. Apparently, I don't know. Apparently. And so literally, it was almost to like the day kind of thing. Like 2 years later, we're living in our first home, we're independent, and our first child is born. And literally, like, I think it was like 5 or 6 days after he's born, we moved back in with my parents. Oh, like, really? It was like we had followed the plan to a T, and then the plan just exploded.
Oh,
like,
my God.
We were living in Indiana. Church wanted us back in Illinois. Like a whole long story, but it was like we had our plan and we're following it, and then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, your plan doesn't mean anything.
Oh my gosh.
And so there is that a little bit of that like tension, a little bit of that balance of like, okay, come up with your plan, but then when the Holy Spirit is like, yeah, we're gonna throw a curveball here, go with it.
It's so like our Keith and I's our engagement was delayed so much. that the theme for our engagement, like on our cards, was finally. I'm not even joking.
It's about time.
It's about time. And I feel like that's a theme for a lot of things in my life. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, well, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. And God's like, try it out. Try it out. And it does not work. So I don't know. Trusting God is one of those things where you just have to go through it and trusting God. And it's not just with like business, but if you have a goal for like, and not because, don't get me wrong, big business nerd. I believe everyone should have some sort of sales role somewhere in their life. But if they want a promotion, or if they have a goal for a promotion, they have a goal for children or marriage, they have a goal for all these other things. Yes, plan. It's super important because what is the script? What is the scripture? What is the saying? People fail for a lack of
planning.
For a lack of planning.
Yeah, those who fail to plan to fail.
Plan to fail. But then also the word says, write down the vision, make it plain. Yep. You know, and so it's like, how much do you really believe God? Yeah. That you can that you want to make plans for things. Keith and I, in our first year or second years of marriage, had an entire vision board, and now in our going into our 7th year. Wow, someone's been married for 7. Someone's tolerated me for 11 years in 7 years of marriage. That's crazy. But we have a vision, like our wall, our closet door had, like, from the top to the bottom, things we're praying for, family members, places we want to live, business, Keith's business, everything. And we're starting to see all those things come to light, and looking back, we see where God was building the foundation for it.
Yeah. All right, let's get back into those oppositions, because you faced a bunch of them. So you're starting to set off and do your own business because you've got this long-term plan, but you know that in the short term, I got to make some money, I got to make some connections. You're probably going to become a politician at some point. We just know it's just down the road, but I'll vote for you, so it's all good. So you got all this in workings, and like out of the gate, like one of your former people wants to sue you, and you've got family drama. Like it's almost as if the world was giving you every reason to quit. Like to give up on the dream. Yeah. What makes Kevin keep going?
So even at my worst, I always go back to when I first accepted Jesus into my heart. I was walking. We lived in Park Forest, and there was a huge.
Where have you not lived?
Dude, we moved around. Like, we moved around a lot. But so I have not lived in Manhattan.
Nobody has, except for me.
Except for you.
And that's not the cool Manhattan, like New York Manhattan. No, I live in Manhattan, Illinois. And if you didn't know that there was a Manhattan, Illinois, now you do.
But my parents had moved away from church because they got church hurt, and that was their pattern. They would go to church, stay there for a year, a couple or some months or however long, and then someone would make them upset, and then they would leave. Okay. I stayed at the church because I was wondering, who is this Jesus that people keep talking about? And once again, being abused, and dad hit, my mom would tell me I wasn't anything. I would be walking, and I'm the eldest of 7 kids. You would think that I would have a bunch of community around me, and I was the black sheep. So I'll be walking down this long road. I would literally walk 2 miles. I'm not even, the 2 miles uphill in the snow? Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Both ways. I'm not even kidding. This is what I would do. Walk 2 miles from Park Forest to Chicago Heights to my to that church I was going back then, uphill, just crying. Why doesn't anybody like me? And God met me on that road. And so when I meet oppositions, I go back to like when Kenton Jones has a song that I would always sing on those times, on those private walks with God, that I would become real intimate with him. And the song goes, Jesus, you loved me when nobody cared. Wow. And so when I started the business and then I decided to quit, I think I told you the day I quit, I put in my 4 weeks notice. They told me, hey, listen, you can't do this. We want a list of your clients. We want a list of your what is it that you do? What have you done in the past? What were you doing during company time? If you weren't doing anything during company time, what were you doing outside of that? How did you contact any of our personal contacts? Have you been recruiting people from your coworkers to come and work for? And I was like, no to all of those things. But then they were threatening to sue that if I did not release my client list, if I did not release certain private information.
Yeah.
And
which is pretty messed up.
Yeah, it was a bit. Yeah, it was definitely a bit. And I didn't know what to do then, but all I just knew was like it was just gonna be no, because I was told to go down this route, and it's been confirmed. God told me to go down this route, and just stay. I'm hard-headed, I guess, but then I always went back to, if everything falls, if I've made a mistake, if I did everything wrong, God still loves me, and He still has that connection with me. So, though He didn't tell me in a glowing scroll that cometh down from heaven,
no burning bush moment,
no highlighter on my Android phone saying Kevin starteth consult 92.
Well, that's because God doesn't use Android. That's the issue. If you had an iPhone, maybe He would have.
I think there's a direct correlation between every millionaire that I've ever met has an Android. I'm not saying that there is because of that.
Every pastor I know has an iPhone. So do you want to be worldly successful or spiritually successful?
Pastor Carlton has an Android. Ha!
Yeah, he doesn't count.
He's a pastor here.
Yeah, but he doesn't count because we give him a hard time all the time.
Hey, listen, for all my green bubbles in the chat, you know what I'm saying? We go hard for you.
Get your green bubble out of here.
But yeah, no, every single time that I've met opposition from that, and then also my brother took his life in the first 6 months of me starting. That was extremely hard. That was extremely hard. And I remember crying, and thank God for my community. Thank God for brothers, for people who just reached out to me just to say hi, or just sent Keith and I food, and allowed me to have like just ugly slave tears on their shoulder, like just like the deep big ones. I think because I don't think that I would have made it through it if God had blessed me with a good community. And just once again, I'm being very long-winded, so forgive me. It's getting back to that, getting back to answering that question. Every opposition I've faced was nothing in comparison to the deep amount of love that God has for me. Not even that I have for Him, that I have for me. He's always been there to help. When Mikey took his life, I'm the patriarch for my family. And so I had to be there for everybody, and I didn't have time to really grieve for myself within the first 3-4 months. And just having a time where I can really break down and just cry, and like what I even thought, like, I started my business. This is because I started my business. This is because Keith and I are starting to be a lot more focused on us as a couple instead of trying to be a savior for everybody else financially, and it's God has really been. I don't have some sort of really deep answer. All I can really tell you is that God has been there at every single point. There's not a point in time where I can ever remember where my bills weren't paid, don't get me wrong, it's been rough. If your bills can't, it's been rough, but like God has always covered and protected. So it's always good to go back to the well. To redraw at every single point in your life.
I think that, you said you don't have the big deep, answer to that, but I think you did. Like, I think that's what people need to be reminded of is in our worst moments, God's still there. And just having the reassurance that the guy who's never lost a battle, as the song goes, the guy that hasn't failed you is there. And this may be the worst moment of your life. But until this moment, you had a different worst moment of your life, and guess what? He was there for that one. And he's going to be there for this one. And so just relying on just the presence of God in those horrible moments. But then you also talked about the people that you were able to call, the people that called you, the people that came around you, like having community. And I think that that's something that you have to work to cultivate. And I think that if somebody's like, man, it's just when I'm in my lowest moment, there's nobody there for me. It's like, okay, well, who have you been there for? And who have you reached out to? And who have you spent time cultivating a relationship with? You had a lot of those relationships because you were active in the church, because you were active in the worship department, because you're an outgoing guy. Like you're gonna make friends. You make it look easy, right? I'm the introvert that gets adopted by the extrovert. But having a group of people that you can go to. It's why we always talk at CLC about getting involved in a life group, like getting involved in a dream team. That for a lot of people, the dream team becomes the life group, right? Where it's like, okay, we're together because we're serving, because we have similar passions. Well, you have similar passions, I mean, you probably get along really well. So, but people that are lonely, like the only solution is to go find people, like to get out there.
There's an intentionality there. Yeah, there's definitely an intentionality there. And so one thing about me, there's a line. I'm a big music guy. I was because I have years of dance, but I'm a big music guy. And there's a rapper. No Big Deal. And he has a line that says, loneliness can happen in a very crowded room, especially when they know who you are but do not know you.
Yeah.
And hearing that hurt me, because I'm the type of guy, if you don't like me now, you'll like me soon. It's over.
I'm gonna wear you down.
Hey, here.
Just one dad joke at a time, right?
100%. But I go out of my way to be intentional to build community with everyone that I come around. If I'm being too overly social, it's because I want to be intentional about doing things, because everyone has an ulterior motive. Everyone. When I first went to make sure that I connected with Jason Parks, is because my ulterior motive was, he's going to make me a better husband. He's going to make me a better brother. And then I found out he's connected with business. Oh, he's going to make me a better business owner, and my dream is going to sooner come true when I connect with him. So that's just Jason. Justin Knox, I connected on purpose because we serve on the worship team. But like connecting with him, he's made me a more patient person. He's made me a more gracious person. Not to say that I have that, but he's taught me. He's like, hey, bro, you're tripping. Or, hey, bro, you're doing good. You know what I'm saying? So being intentional about community is going to help you with your dreams. It's going to help you with everything that you do.
Yeah. So we actually just talked about this this morning in a staff meeting, but I'm curious from your perspective, what role does gratitude play in all of this? So like when opposition is coming, it's really easy to wake up and to look at everything that's going wrong. What role does gratitude play in this ability of yours to just move forward?
Everything is perspective. I wouldn't be in a position to be sued if I did not have a company that I was starting that I've been praying for.
Yeah.
I'm super grateful for just being here, because at one point I was suicidal. Yeah. I did not, being abused, coming from an abusive background will do that to you. Yeah. I'm a little lost as to how to answer your question, but like gratitude, I'm grateful every day. Kisa is the most no-nonsense person in the world. She's funny, but she's no nonsense, and she elected to spend her life with me. That's bananas by itself. But the fact that I'm grateful to share the platform and worship with Pastor Katie and Derek and Imani and Dom and all these people, I'm grateful for that, because everything I'm doing on the platform, you'll see me doing in my seat. Yeah. And it's an honor to be called to serve and lead with that. Yeah. I'm grateful for everything that's happened with me, because I did not have to be the person to help facilitate that. Yeah. There's so many other more skilled people. Oh my goodness, there's so many. You'll find so many better people. The only thing that you'll not find better than me, the only thing I'm the very best at is sales and Connect 4. That's it. Sales and Connect 4. That's it.
Where's Connect 4 coming to this?
Those are as far as champions of champions of champions, there's no one that will be able to see me in sales, and no one can be able to see me in Connect 4.
Okay. All right. We're playing Connect 4 at some point.
I haven't
played Connect 4 since I was like 8, but
probably not a good time not to start with me. But yeah, it's
big words. It's big words.
You know what?
I feel challenged. We're gonna head over to Life Students and see if they got a Connect 4 laying around.
They do. I'm about it. Lay it on me. It's huge.
But here's what I love. Gratitude, in my perspective, for me, I think gratitude is the game changer for people. That when it comes to setbacks and disappointments and opposition, there's always going to be problems. Like it's just life. Like we're always, thank you Adam and Eve, right? Like it's just, life is filled with problems because they ate a piece of fruit.
Them specifically.
Right, just the two of them, and I've got words for them. But life is filled with problems, but life is also filled with blessings.
Yeah.
And you have to, I love that you said it's perspective, because you have to choose what you're going to focus on.
Yeah.
And what I found years and years and years of working with people is the person that emphasizes gratitude in their life can recover from setbacks, has more joy, has more drive to keep moving forward in the worst than somebody that focuses on the problems. Yeah. The person that comes in and just says, my life is awful and this is bad and this is bad and this is bad, this is bad. It's like, I don't know how much I can really do for that person, because you can solve the problem today, but tomorrow there's going to be a new problem for them.
Yeah.
And if they haven't learned how to be grateful for the good things, man,
it's a discipline.
Yeah,
it's a discipline, because a lot of people look at when something happens, automatically doom, gloom, the world is over. And granted, I'm a big guy of like, your pain, your feelings are justified. Yeah. But it's up to you whether you stay there or not, because I choose to be, you have to choose gratefulness just as much as you have to choose joy. You have to choose, those are things that God gives, but you have to, there's a difference between a present and a present.
Okay.
So if I do something to make you upset, you have to accept that. It's a present that I've given you. If I decide to come in here and tell you the absolute truth that the Grinch will always be better than Elf, the Grinch will always, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, both Jim Carrey and the animated are always going to be better than Elf. And I say this because I love
Jim Carrey's Grinch is great.
Yeah.
Will Ferrell's Elf is better.
I doubt that very seriously. But if I were to come in here and bring you this truth, right?
Let's vote wherever you're watching this. Drop in the comments and just let us know which is better, Elf or the Grinch, and be honest and
be honest. Tell the truth. Shame the devil.
Please your pastor. Sorry, I totally derailed you.
No. So if I was starting back over, so if I were to come in here and tell you the truth, tell you my truth, and it upsets you, it's up to you to accept it or not. If you come in here and do something, it's something that I have to accept. Yeah.
We talk about that a lot with like offense. Like you have to choose to be offended.
Choose to be offended. Yeah.
Right. Because you could say all kinds of things about me, against me, and it's still, I have to make a conscious choice to be offended by it.
Yep. So then in those moments where where opposition happens, in those moments where things aren't going the way we planned. Yeah. I'm just grateful to be in the position where I have to pivot, because I'm not out of the game. I switch. I'm grateful for the position that I'm in, and I'm still gonna be able to move forward. If God tells me absolutely not, no, then I don't go that way, and then I go somewhere else. But I'm grateful that God talks to me. Yeah. Being in that place of gratefulness is big.
No, I think that's beautiful. I appreciate this conversation.
I appreciate you.
I want to get, it's because we're gonna wrap up. You've got a sales call or something happening.
Oh yeah, 12 o'clock. Yeah.
So, what advice do you have to somebody out there that's like, I've got this dream, I don't know what to do with it. I feel like every time I try and take one step forward in pursuing this dream, I end up taking 2 steps backwards, and it's just, I hit the opposition, or I don't even know where to get started. What advice do you have as somebody that's like, look, I'm in the middle of it, I'm living it out right now? How can you encourage a brother or sister that's watching this right now?
First, be encouraged that you have the dream in the first place. Like, we're living out the scriptures day by day. So if we have a desire to do something, that's something that God implanted in us. That desire is a gift from God. So because it's a gift from God, understand and be grateful that you have this gift first, and then now you have to be responsible to it. Yeah. Do you really believe that if God is so great that He gave you something, did He give it to you to keep? Or did He give it to you to grow, to cultivate, to move? And then start taking steps to make it happen, and understand that your 100%, which is your 100%, in actuality is 2%. Yeah. if your 2% can meet God where he is, he's going to take you through a long journey, but he's going to get you there.
Yeah.
He is the same God yesterday, today, and forever. He is intentional about you. If he gave you the desire, it was for a reason.
Yeah.
And while me and Keith are waiting for children, and it's a heartbreaking 6-7 years that we've been waiting for them, we are encouraged that we are yet still married. We can be able to go to a doctor and check our health. We can be able to do what we need to do.
Yeah.
To be able to make sure that our house, our home is ready for when that blessing comes, that gift, that business, that whatever, whenever it comes.
I love it.
It's okay to feel upset or to have discouragement come, because that's something that happens. It's normal. Don't suppress it. Fight through it and understand that the God who founded the heavens and the earth, who has millions upon trillions of other things to do and other people to speak to and other things to manage and maintain, was intentional to give you a desire to start something. Push through.
I love it. That's beautiful advice. One final question.
Yes, sir.
We'll wrap up. For the person right now that's saying, I don't know what my dream is. Like, I'm just trying to keep my head above water. Feel like I'm drowning. You know, how do I even begin to dream?
There's an intersection. I love this question. There's an intersection. You can tell I've answered this question before. Sorry, I'm really super excited about it. There's an intersection between your passion and your hurt where purpose lies. So if you are and know that this is going to evolve and change over time, but understand that your dream is at the intersection of what you truly love to do and what hurts you the most about this present world. Yeah. So one thing that was really big for me at one point was I really did not like that people were so misunderstood. And people were so misunderstood to such a huge part because of their circumstances or whatever, that really hurt me. But one thing I really loved to do was dance and teach. And those things led me to, and that intersection led me to teaching kids classes and reaching out to kids of abuse or whatever, things like that. Now, presently, I love sales. And I've always loved sales. I love being able to encourage and teach people. And a pain for me is when people are truly underrepresented. It's the same dreams, but they've evolved over time. And the intersection is now with Consult 92, with how I'm advocating for people, and I really do see it as a ministry. Yeah.
We talk about the same thing. It's about what are you passionate about and what bothers you in the world, right? And so a lot of times we look at the things that frustrate us the most can be the Holy Spirit's megaphone for our lives. Of, you know, it bothers you, so do something about it. Right. And so I think that's where a lot of people need to find their dream, to find their passion, to say, you know what, this bothers me, I'm going to be the one to fix it.
Yeah, and just to be honest, if you see a problem and you do not fix it, but you still see the problem, that problem now becomes your responsibility. It's your fault that it's not here. It's your fault that this dream is not done. It's your fault that the trash is not taken out.
Man, come on.
And it's not. And husbands, it's your fault if the trash is not. Let's say if this is a contentious issue, if the trash is not taken out, and you're wondering why you're having arguments. Maybe the mantle of husband is to see where something's wrong and fix it, and then you'll be able to have that problem. Not that all problems can be. That's minimalizing it to an extreme.
No, but that is excellent marriage advice, because it's I think marriages are ruined by the little things. It's the lack of attention to detail. It's the you didn't take out the trash again.
It's not so much the trash, it's the intention. Do you not care about this house, or do you not care about how it smells, or do you not care about the atmosphere that I'm being here with?
You not care about me because I'm asking you to do something and you're choosing not to. Man, this turned from dreams to fixing marriages, but this is a great conversation, Kevin. I appreciate it a lot. You know, we're gonna go play some Connect 4 at some point.
Let's go.
That's the one where you got to get 4 in a row, right?
Yeah. Connect. You have to connect 4 colors. Connect 4.
Yeah, I'm totally gonna win.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
But Kevin, thanks for hanging out. For everybody, thanks for being here. We're gonna be back next week. I believe the movie we're looking at is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So if you want to watch an amazing superhero movie, I feel like the superhero movies were just crashing in quality. And then Guardians 3 came out and it gave me hope again that Marvel wasn't done. So it's a great movie. A lot of great important lessons about friendships and relationships. We're going to be talking about that next week. So hope to see you there. God bless.